Hola comunidad, welcome back to the Latinx Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Adriana Alejandre, a licensed trauma therapist in California and founder of Latinx Therapy. It's been a long while since I've sat down to record a podcast episode for you all because life has been lifing. Before we jump into this new season, I wanted to take some time to reconnect with all of you through this trailer episode. If you have not gotten a chance to catch up with past episodes, I do recommend starting with each season's trailer episode because it basically summarizes what I'm up to in that season. So I'm going to take time to share where I've been, how life has been unfolding behind the scenes of Latinx therapy, and what you can expect, again, from the episodes to come, what our guests will talk about. Over the past years, my life has gone through some very big changes, as I'm sure it has for many of you, because we started Latinx therapy together 2018. So let's get started with my son. My son turned 16 years old in just a couple of months, and I'm really proud of both of us, but so much more of him, of course. I'm now entering the stage of parenting where driving lessons are becoming part of our conversations. I just enrolled him actually this week. And, since he was a baby and I was a single parent, I always told him that he and I were a team. And I genuinely feel like that has continued to remain the same. Todavía le digo eso. There are, of course, challenging moments with teenagers, but one characteristic that I feel has been foundational in our relationship and the way that I parent is making sure that the consequences don't carry over. So, meaning when there's something that requires a consequence or a firmer tone of voice of mine, I make sure that I don't use that moment as a lecture for a future behavior of his. I've also been very intentional to not make him feel like my love is conditional because I know that's something that many of us had growing up. So I don't have the relationship with him that I think I once envisioned that I would when he was a teenager. And that's okay. I think that that's partly though because I didn't heal my own childhood wounds or attachment wounds from childhood early enough. But I'm happy with the harmony that we have and we sustain in our home so far. Next thing. Many of you know that in 2022, my mom passed away. Losing a parent is something that changes you in ways that are hard to explain for the years to follow. It's unforeseen. Grief has a way of slowing life down and making you rethink what matters, how you spend your time, and how you care for yourself and the people around you. So you will actually see that in one of the episodes for this season because something my guest said unlocked a kaleidoscope of emotions connected to my mom's undocumented status. And so that's a very vulnerable moment, pero pasó, it happened. Grief affects not just our emotions, but also our bodies and our nervous systems. Sometimes people think that healing means moving on, to not talk about it anymore because the dead won't rest, or to just stay busy as a form of healing. But trauma-informed care teaches us that healing often means learning how to make meaning of what happened and honoring that we heal in different ways for different situations and people. Growing up in an immigrant family, when I witnessed my parents going through their own parent loss, sibling loss, they attended the funeral if they could. That didn't always happen. And then returned to survival mode, going to work, picking us up from school, cooking for us. And as an adult now, not once do I know what their identities and joys were outside of who they were as parents, especially grieving adults themselves. Many immigrant families don't always have the privilege of pausing for grief. There are responsibilities, work, financial pressures, immigration concerns, undiagnosed mental health conditions amongst family members, and the need to keep going. For generations, that survival mindset becomes a way that families end up coping. And I was close to repeating that cycle too. But thanks to the education that my parents encouraged me to pursue, I learned something important. If we push pain away, it doesn't disappear. It often comes back later in patterns that affect our relationships, our health, our stability, and the people that we care about. And it can often show up as irritability, sometimes as anxiety or emotional shutdown, sometimes as feeling disconnected from the people that we love, or the activities even that we once enjoyed. Although many people can push thoughts away, the body is like a sponge and holds on to the emotions of the experiences we are trying to run away from. I started Latinx therapy in 2018 from a place of pain, a family trauma that we experienced in 2017. And around this time, I had just completed my EMDR training journey and was using it with clients. EMDR stands for eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. It's a psychotherapy approach that helps people process distressing memories that may feel stuck in the nervous system and uses channels of associations in the brain to help process the information. For many immigrants and children of immigrants, migration itself can include many layers of trauma. There can be separation from family members, dangerous journeys, economic hardships, discrimination, or chronic stress of living with uncertainty. Sometimes people tell me, but my family survived. We made it here. We're okay. And that resilience is valid. And yes, it is also very real. The brain is not, though, in the moment that the trauma happened, able to fully process those experiences in that exact moment that they occurred. Instead, those memories remain stored in the body in a very vivid way, whether it's through images or just the body memory itself. People might feel like the experience is still happening years later when they get triggered through a scent, something they see, or something they hear. And EMDR allows the nervous system to store the experience in a way that no longer feels like a present day threat. It doesn't erase the memory. This perspective has really influenced how I approach conversations on this podcast. This season, many of the discussions you're going to hear are grounded in a trauma informed approach. And with that, I am also doing my application to become an EMDR trainer, which is taking up so much time. But let's go ahead and talk about the episodes. As of now, I believe that I'm going to be releasing weekly for about 6 months, and then I'm going to take a break to re strategize, see what worked, what didn't work. And due to the higher cost of adding video formats, I am also requesting for sponsors. I will link the packages below for anybody that is interested. So if you can please share about them, I would really appreciate that. As I began to plan the new season of the podcast, it felt impossible to ignore the broader political climate that we're living in. So we will be exploring how immigration experiences influence mental health across generations. We have an episode on being undocumented and how that shapes identity and safety. We will be exploring what it's like to care for aging immigration parents or elders. Another important conversation this season will focus on children of immigrants. In many immigrant families, roles develop around survival. Children sometimes become translators, cultural navigators, or emotional supports for their parents. And although this builds skill, it also creates pressure, especially for eldest daughters, really for any eldest sibling. So, we will be discussing boundaries and identities within immigrant Latinx family dynamics as well. Migration stories are stories of courage, sacrifice, and determination. If you have a topic that you would like us to focus on, please let me know. Now, on the technology side of things, there's been some tech challenges. You're going to see that there were moments where audio may get cut off, videos where the lighting is not flattering or the camera angles are not quite right. But we kept it going, and I am continuing to learn. It's completely different than audio only. I did hire a video editing team that is supporting the consistency of these episodes and is working with me to make these look as good as possible. I'm locked into a 6-month contract, and I feel like for my ADHD and where my life is right now, this was the right move. So many of the conversations overall were recorded in different spaces and locations based on where I was traveling at the time. I am trying to record most of them at the Latinx Therapy Wellness Center in Burbank. So you will see overall that the backgrounds are not consistent because of that. And since launching, I have always found it important to capture the stories and voices from colleagues that come from various geographical regions. It would be easy for me to have 100% of our guests from California, Los Angeles, since I am based here and we are very saturated with Latinx professionals. But I also find that it wouldn't be fair or truly represent the audience that Latinx therapy as a whole represents. Mental health experiences are shaped by culture, community, and environment, and the policies that happen locally as well, right? At the end of the day, this podcast has always been about storytelling. Stories remind us that we're not alone in experiences, and I hope that that's what you get out of each of the episodes. So, with this, another piece of the season that I'm excited about is the work that's happening through the Alejandra Foundation. So, if you don't know, that is my official nonprofit. It is separate from Latinx Therapy. So it has pivoted and changed because of the administration. But through this nonprofit, we are launching one-time workshops and support groups for rapid responders protecting the community from ICE. Trauma often isolates people, but rapid responders have created networks of supports that are critical in the prevention of family separation by this administration or in supporting the families and the community after kidnappings. When people sit in a room or even in a virtual space and hear someone else say something they themselves thought, never vocalized, or they felt, people begin to feel less alone, and this helps the healing process. I recorded an episode about these groups in February 2026 alongside with the professor who volunteered to help us create our pre and post tests so that we could have data of the effectiveness of receiving a mental health support group and in hopes to also receive donations so that we could maintain these groups. Again, that is through our nonprofit, an official 501(c) Alejandra Foundation. Behind the scenes now of Latinx therapy. So many transitions, right? In January of last year, 2025, we had to move offices in Burbank because our neighbors were smoking inside their unit. And since we shared a ceiling and AC ducts, the scent was giving our unit complete secondhand smoke. There was so much drama with all the 7 owners, property management, and ultimately I did not renew the lease and ended up moving to another unit in Burbank. We are very happy here. We do wish it was ADA accessible, but I hope that after the 5-year lease, I can save enough to hopefully purchase office space in Burbank. I have 4 more years to go now as of starting this year. It was not an easy transition, but it was absolutely necessary because that was just one of the other noisy issues. Now that we are at a 7-office center, we've also been expanding some of the programs within Latinx therapy locally. We are creating more in-person in Burbank and virtual workshops for the community. So these are rolling out. I'm recording this as of March 2026. Our virtual workshops are coming in April 2026 and will be focused on helping provide mental health education at no cost for individuals impacted by the ICE raids. For our membership, for therapists, mental health professionals, we are doing monthly themed workshops for clinicians seeking more guidance on how to work with clients who are impacted by this administration and discrimination. Another part of our work that many people know about is the Latinx Therapy Directory. The directory, which is part of the membership, helps people find therapists who understand cultural experiences within the Latinx community. And one thing I want to share openly is that Latinx therapy does not have investors or venture capital funding behind it. It is all self-funded. I'm a small team doing the best to build resources on a national scale for the community in a digital space that is dominated heavily by very large, fully vested tech companies. And there was a big boom after the pandemic, which is why a lot of members have seen a decline in referrals. Technology is constantly changing, and maintaining platforms like directories, especially small directories, requires resources. One of the most impactful ways that you can support our work is simply by sharing the directory. Share it with your boss, the people that you work with. If you know somebody who is looking for a therapist who understands their cultural background, their immigration experience, or their family dynamics, sharing this resource not only makes a difference for them, but also for all of us on the directory. Community support is what allows projects like this to continue growing. And so I'm very grateful to continue to be here after 7 years, if my math is right, from 2018 to 2026. maybe 8 years. If you find that these conversations that you're hearing about from the podcast or the resources are meaningful, I always encourage you to share the episodes with someone who might benefit from them. So, not just about the directory, but the episodes we have on YouTube as well. To everybody who has been listening over the years, muchísimas gracias. Your support allows these conversations and the resources to continue. I am truly excited to hear the episodes we've been recording for the season, for you to hear them, to meet the people that have never been featured on the podcast. And I hope that you enjoy them. We will be having them in English and Spanish. Due to time, some of the episodes are only in English. But again, if you are needing something, please go ahead and email me at directory@latinxtherapy.com. That will likely be the best email address. If you know somebody that is looking for a therapist in Spanish, please email us at support@latinxtherapy.com and we will help them directly. We do hope to integrate also some sort of technology to help us because a lot of the work that we do, my assistant and I, is very manual. So it's very time consuming, both for the membership and the public end of things. Maybe there will be a call for volunteers as well, but one project at a time. Right now, we're focused on the podcast and having mental health education become accessible again and bilingual. So, muchísimas gracias. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, supporting me on a personal and professional level. Nos vemos pronto.